Your new video,
All right.
the sex and gender.
Okay.
I was watching it, and the way you have put forth the idea and backed it up with evidence, like hats off to you, first of all.
Thank you.
Like, it's amazing how you've done that, because it's a perspective that even people like me, whom I believe is educated somewhat, didn't have any idea of that.
Me neither.
The transgenderism.
Huh.
So yeah, and how there is a definitive place for them,
Huh.
because it's not what people are just making out to be to make money, but it's a thing. It's an actual thing, and you should respect that, and they should be treated as equals in the society, because it's not their fault that they're in that position. And even if they are, it's not like it's not their fault. I'm not saying it because it's something wrong, it's something bad. We should normalize it.
Yeah.
And you've made a very clear point. I'm going to leave a link for the video, his video, in the description, sex and gender. उसके अंदर जरा लोगों को थोड़ा सा
Appreciate it. Thank you.
एक थोड़ा सा वो दो जरा.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to normalize it for me. Like, मेरे लिए भी एक मेरा नुक्ता नज़र था एक चीज़ के बारे में. जब भी मैं किसी चीज़ में घुसता हूँ, I want my own opinion to be challenged. And if my needle is setting at this particular opinion, I want it to be able to go there, go here, and then land wherever the justifications end up making me land at, right? So I'm not stuck to my opinion. And that's my whole journey with these ख्यालात series कि मैं जाऊँ अपनी एक राय लेके जाऊँ, लेकिन उस राय को मैं इतना challenge करूँ कि end में वो तब्दील हो जाए. तो reading enough about these things kind of makes you end up at certain place, and then just knowing कि there's some biological imperatives that lead to gender identity and their markers, और वो उनको ignore नहीं कर सकते. इनको हयातियाती निशानी कहते हैं हम, लेकिन हम अंग्रेजी में रखते हैं, थोड़ा ज़्यादा आसान रहेगा. तो biological imperatives and markers are there, and they're important in establishing your sex. Now, gender being your inner sort of voice telling you who you really are. And there are many cases. अब उसके अंदर gender dysmorphia भी होता है, people who kind of transition between being a man and a woman. They'll look into the mirror one day, they're like, I don't feel like a man. Why do I have this body? And sometimes they'll look into the mirror and they'll be like, yes, I am a man. So they're people who transition, and Radiolab has a great podcast on this.
But do you think that has to do with genome itself, or do you think that's also psychological?
It's a combination of both things. Depends on the person himself. You'll have to check uske chromosomes kya hai. Right. And then the second thing that could happen is the exposure of hormones in the womb. So when you're in the womb and there's a large amount of testosterone you're exposed to, yet you're a woman. So your chromosomes and your genetic profile, your jiniati mada is telling you you're a woman. So you've got XX chromosomes and you're a woman. But around you, while you're developing your primary sexual characteristics, there's an exposure of testosterone somehow, a lot of it. And when what happens is that your clitoris could form into a penis, and your penis could slightly form into, so they could change because of the hormones thing, and your primary sexual organs are developing at this point. Now, this has occurred to you while you're in the womb. Now you've come out and you've experienced things. And so you could result in having gender dysmorphia. So it's a combination of both things, and you can't really, there's a complex interplay between nature and nurture that ends up making you who you are. So just kind of saying कि ये nature है और ये nurture है, because the interplay is existing, right? You can't say कि nature में इंसान ऐसा होता है, यही फितरी तौर पे जो खलीलुर रहमान कबर साहब कहते हैं कि फितरी तौर पे औरत बेवफा नहीं होती, और जो होती है वो औरत नहीं है. That's like putting a box on it, because what's ending up happening right now is we're seeing gender roles are evolving. You know, women are entering the workplace. They're what would traditionally be called masculine traits are being adopted by women in workplaces, so that they can, because power and aggression and, you know, ordering people around, those sort of behaviors are considered to be masculine. Yeah. Yet they are not. Like, they're just behaviors, right? And ultimately, just
there are also the physical limitations of both man and women.
Yeah,
like,
they are.
For example, like aggression, as you pointed out in the video very clearly, that there are more people in the jails, and that has to do with aggression, because men primarily has more aggression. Yeah. Because obviously of the physical traits as well. Yeah. You know, a huge part is because of the physical traits. Women, I don't know what the logic behind is, but are there muscles weaker than men, or they're less developed because of the practice men usually has in the workplace versus the female? You know, so all of that could play a huge role. It could be the genetics. For the longest time, हमारे जब तक technological advancements नहीं हुई थी, तो men used to actually do all the hard labor. So maybe that has something to do with a long-term mutation of some sort of a muscle जो कि men के अंदर ज़्यादा produce हो गया, females के अंदर कम produce हुआ. If it was equally the same, and it's very logical because female actually, when they give the birth, they need like a maternity leave and they need to take care of the baby and just be home. She's more attached to the baby.
Gender
and,
pay gap takes place. Careers get suffer.
Exactly. So maybe that was a cause of it, but it doesn't also limit our possibilities to that. With new businesses, with new ideas, with new world, you're open to like you shouldn't just stay back thinking that those were the times, so let's just live there. वो तो बिल्कुल यही बात हो गई ना कि चांद आज भी naked eye से ही देखना है. अरे जब telescope available है तो क्यों देखना naked eye से? ये change with time.
Challenge your gender roles.
Exactly.
You know, don't stick to some old paradigm that existed from back in the day when men used to be required to do certain things. The idea of masculinity has changed so much, man.
Right.
Little kids get bullied just because they're not masculine, like a nerdy kid who's into computers is probably going to be far more beneficial in the upcoming age where, you know, data is the shit.
I say that.
But they get bullied because those old ideas of masculinity that are taught to kids, hey, it's masculine to be a man. You know, you slap the guy. You know, dominance apni establish karo, coming from the cheetahs probably, or from the shares. So challenging them is not a bad idea. And also, like, from the other perspective where people are like, hey, yaar, you can't really say it's genetic. What you mean by genetic is also got to be understood in a different way. कि हमारी फितरत, हमारी nature है क्या? हमारी nature जो है वो भी evolve कर रही है. And we understand this through epigenetics now, that there is a layer of epigenetic layer, as they call it, which helps in expressing certain genes and suppressing certain genes. So you could have a gene, the same genetic structure, एक शावीर की clone बना लेते हैं, लेकिन different circumstances में वो शावीर एक और शावीर बन जाएगा, जबकि वो genetically identical हो सकता है clone. So that means that there's an epigenetic layer that helps in same genotype can form different phenotypes, as they say. So that also has to be understood. So, you know, us saying कि ये nature में है मर्दों की कि testosterone चलता है and muscles develop उसी से ही होते हैं, and that's why we're aggressive, and our even mating rituals kind of show a certain bit of aggression coming from the male angle of things and a suppression from the female angle of things. But challenging them is a good thing, and acknowledging the nature as it exists and knowing that it's fluid as well at the same time, that it will evolve in generations is, I don't know, looking at the facts shouldn't offend people, but people do get really offended.
Yeah, because it's you're fighting their belief system, and that belief system is not an objective truth.
Most of the time, yeah.
Belief is not an objectively, like it's your belief. It's subjective. To each his own.
Yeah.
So objective truth is gravity exists. It's true whether or not you think it's true or not.
Yeah.
But Jesus is your savior. Buddha was a god. It's not objectively true. It's subjective.
Yeah, you know? It is.
So whenever you fight with people's belief system, whenever you try to change something that they subconsciously believe in, they'll always stand up for it and they'll always fight for it.
Yeah.
And everybody has that, but maybe your subconscious belief is not that strong about religion or politics, but it could be about X, Y, or Z. Could be about something else. So everybody fights their own belief systems in their own ways. For example, white supremacy. It has nothing to do with religion, but everything to do with culture. And if you tap into that, they get offended. They're like, yeah, bro, white rocks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You go over there, you'll realize what racism is, and it's directly correlated with the society now, and it's affecting the society on its, like, in itself, and they don't even realize it. It's because you're subconsciously offending them. So that's what it is. Hey guys, you're watching the Honest Hour Clips channel. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel. और अगर आप लोगों को ये original podcast देखनी है, तो find the link in the description.
Same.